It's time to talk about our favorite electric agent in the game, Neon. Now, she has had one of the strongest kits in the pro scene at one point, but when it comes to ranked, she feels like a fish out of water. Do not worry though, because I'm about to drop some Neon knowledge bombs that will help you dominate in solo queue. But before we get into the video, we just quickly want to show you a little sneak peek of our newest course. Have a look.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing.
Now back to the video. When it comes to playing Neon in Valorant, our initial tip may seem counterintuitive at first, but it's how to know when not to use her abilities. Neon's kit is strong and high octane, so it's easy to get caught up in the excitement and start throwing out abilities left and right. But sometimes, the best way to use your utility is to not use it at all. If you find yourself in a situation where your abilities will be overkill, or if you need to conserve your resources for a later engagement, don't be afraid to hold back. By biding your time and waiting for the right moment to strike, you'll be able to catch your enemies off guard and come out on top. Neon's kit requires players to put away their guns for a brief moment when using any of her abilities. Unfortunately, this pause can leave players vulnerable to enemy attacks, resulting in death before they can take advantage of their utility. Finding the perfect balance between using her abilities and capitalizing on them is what makes Neon such a challenging agent to master. Just because you can bounce a stun off a wall and stun one angle doesn't mean you always should. Maybe you're obstructing your team, or the stun leaves a small gap that you aren't expecting, getting you killed since you thought it was clear. Or maybe you toss out your wall and just sprint up the area with no gun out. Someone swings into the wall and kills you for free. Deaths like these need to be avoided, and patience and planning is the key to that. Piggybacking off of our last tip, we have number 2. To truly make the most out of her abilities, it's crucial to have a plan of attack. One effective strategy is to have a mental map of your utility usage when taking the site. This means understanding how to use your abilities in coordination with your team's approach to the site. By visualizing the best way to use your utility before the round begins, you can react quickly to changing situations and make the most of your kit. Planning out your utility can be the difference between a failed push and a successful site take, making it a vital tip to keep in mind while playing Neon. Neon is best in solo queue when you have agents that enable your fast-paced, in-your-face playstyle. Breach, KO, and Sky are all great examples of this. Since our girl doesn't have much utility to keep her safe in the moment like a jet dash for example, she needs to be set up for success before the site hit even happens. An example of this might be, your Breach stuns top ramp on split while you use your speed to capitalize on that stun. Many newer Neon players might pick up a kill ramp then sprint into heaven to continue their rampage. But instead, you should wait up for your team to then execute the next part of your plan to get onto site. Maybe Breach then flashes and you wall plus stun elbow for an easy site take. Neon isn't all just go, 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 go. The best players know it's go, stop, regroup again, then go again. For tip number 3, it's all about working out that clean Neon movement. Neon is by far the fastest agent in Valorant when she has her high gear activated. Not only does this mean she can rotate and attack faster, but her outplay potential skyrockets if you are able to master her movement. It is crucial to know all aspects of Neon's E in order to have the competition dizzy. Everyone knows how Neon can slide out of her E in any direction she wants, including backwards. Having this trick in your bag can lead to saving yourself from danger or even surprising your enemies with a jiggle peek into a slide. But the real tip is all about how you can use her insane speed and movement to beat timings and get yourself out of trouble. You almost never want to pull out your knife on Neon since your E moves so much faster anyway. You can use your E to dodge abilities like stuns, dogs, mollies, and so much more. Being comfortable with Neon's high-speed playstyle and using it to its fullest is the essence of her kit. Our 4th tip is all about where and when you're picking Neon in your games. Now this more applies to the higher elos since comps and agent combinations matter less and less as you descend through the ranks. But knowing Neon's weaknesses is definitely helpful for anyone trying to improve. Neon loves any kind of setup for her before she goes in. Like stated before, once she's in the bomb site, there's no real going back and there's no real safety net for her to fall back on. Neon is best paired with agents that make the enemy unable or less likely to shoot back at you. So if you see a game with a Breach, Sky, KO, or Astra as some examples, this would be a great spot to pick our speed demon. Even a strong secondary flashing duelist could be a nice complement to a Neon-based comp. Combine these amazing agent picks with some good communication and timing and you will have the enemy calling up the FF vote in no time. Now let's go over what so many of you Neon players love to mess up, her wall. As a character who relies on making space in combat situations, Neon's fast lane is the only part of her kit that allows her to do so safely. When deployed, the wall creates a narrow path with 2 walls on either side, designed to provide cover and safe entry into a site. However, any experienced Neon player knows that this is far from reality. Since the removal of the wall's damaging capabilities, there is almost zero risk for enemies to swing into it, potentially wiping out Neon and her entire team. Despite its limitations, the wall remains an essential tool for Neon mains to master in order to gain an advantage in combat. Many players don't know the wall itself is created from a center projectile Neon throws out when the ability is casted. So you want to always look for the safest way to cast your wall, whether it be over walls and objects or through windows. Once the wall is placed, the danger is far from over. Although you may intuitively want to press E and race to the other end of the bomb site, most of the time this will get you killed. So you gotta be careful. If you are always ready for the enemy to swing into your wall, on the other hand, you may just flip the easy kill they think they have on its head and frag them right back. Of course, the key to the wall is not only to bait players peeking into you, in fact, most of the time it isn't. But you should never just assume it's a safe pathway for you and all your solo queue friends to walk through, as that way you're just essentially donating your opponents a juicy collateral and a record ace in just 2 seconds. Tip number 6 is all about abusing what Neon does best with the most hated class of guns in Valorant, the shotguns. Neon is a formidable opponent when it comes to using shotguns. Her kit is designed to help her close distances quickly and effectively, making them a perfect fit for her playstyle. Her sprint into slide maneuver is of course just what needs to put your opponents into the right kaboom range. But it also has the benefit of making her much more difficult to hit, since she'll always be zooming across your screen. Add to that a wall that gives her both the freedom to choose any angle to jump out from, as well as a tool to close further distance. And lastly, a stun that will further put your enemies in a disadvantage. And you'll have a combo that will not only look amazing in a montage, but also proves effective in game. However, since you probably don't want to be playing shotgun only all game every game, the optimal moments to select them are actually during the pistol, anti-eco, and bonus rounds, especially when planning a rush. Since the shorty is only 150, Neon can pick it up with some light shields and a stun, allowing her an easy entry on any ghost-wielding opponent on the site. In the following, she can then opt for the disgusting judge upgrade, which she'll happily be wielding against the eco as well as the bonus round to follow. Of course, if you get Breeze in your swift play, it may in fact not be shorty time if you get what I mean, so don't fully disable your brain. But as long as you use it in an appropriate range, the shotguns are more than deadly and definitely something you should look to abuse. Tip number 7 is redefining how you should be looking at Neon stuns when trying to fight multiple enemies. See, most of the time when you hear enemies pushing towards you, you should stun and then try to peek them for easy kills. But what if there are 2 different enemies and it's impossible to stun them both? Well, our tip to you is to stun one side and peek the other player who isn't stunned first. Way too many Neon mains will stun an enemy and go right for the easy frag, but when they have a teammate on the other side of them, that'll only ever end in a trade. If you really need to fight both, do this instead, as it'll give you a much better chance for the 2-for-1. Generally speaking, you should use your stuns to isolate favorable engagements and establish advantageous 1v1s. Yes, there will be times where you get to stun 3 people at once and MVP the round, but that's not always going to happen. So more often than not, you'll want to utilize your stuns to temporarily impede certain enemies, allowing you to confront their teammates first before turning your attention back to the guys you stunned initially. Our 8th and final tip is about how to get the maximum amount of value from her ultimate, Overdrive. Neon's ultimate is funny because depending on who you ask, it's either the absolute best or worst thing in the game. Silvers will tell you it's plain broken, while those who are past Immortal will feel that you're usually better off with a shorty. The hardest part about Neon's ultimate isn't really using it as much as when and where to use it. See, unlike Jett's ultimate, once Neon presses that button, the clock instantly starts counting down before it expires. It's not as reliable on eco rounds, and it is hard to work into a game unless you actively plan around it. So when your ultimate is up, no matter if you're on attack or defense, you gotta ask your teammates to set up an aggressive play. This way your ultimate is way more likely to find a target and you can avoid it going to waste. And hey, maybe a breach hole into an angry Neon gets you an easy 5 kills. And that's all you need to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and we will see you all in the next one.